some things that you would have done differently, some things that you didn't know coming in, just from a career perspective.
Yeah.
Not obviously the personal life is well recorded. You have definitely a better quality of life in New York, in Abu Dhabi. That is, I like to rock for New York forever, but my quality of life was way better in Dubai. I'm in New York simply for a professional reason that I couldn't give up. And again, shout out to you for understanding that so that we can do this. But the quality of life in the Middle East, there's no comparison. And I think people who are rational understand that. But just from your perspective, I've always wanted to hear from you, like, professionally speaking, like what's the, because people ask me, like, what are the opportunities like in Abu Dhabi? Like, what are some of the pitfalls? What are some of the advantages?
Yeah, I mean, just solely speaking on just a career, perspective, it's kind of like you're hired help. So you have to come here with the experience.
Right.
I wouldn't say it's something for someone that's just starting their career, because it's going to be hard to grow, and it's going to be hard to be challenged, So definitely, if you're like senior level, maybe mid career, it's a great opportunity to come out here, and I think it's definitely a resume builder to have that international experience. Now that I'm in 10 years. It's funny because I feel like I'm doing the responsibilities of but my title wouldn't match up to that,
Right.
And that's just a, office politics thing, especially if you're working for certain entities and things like that. But
no, it's not a secret. Emiratisation. That's the stated policy of the UAE. So, that's not a secret. You can go to their constitution; it's there.
But I do think the work-life balance is something that I appreciate, and that's why it makes it hard for me to go back.
Right.
Because I could go back, and it depends on what you value or how you want your life to be. Mm-hmm. And for me to be able to do this podcast, I'm able to do it. And I know you're grinding to do it. Like, it's tough. Like, you were just on a phone call right now, Yeah. So for me, it's like Ramadan is coming up, and I look forward to Ramadan because it's a time, to get, closer to God and things like that, even though I am Christian and all that. Right. But things are real chill in the office around that time, where I don't think there's off time for you or downtime.
No. Goes back to what you're saying. Me and Mike, I don't want anybody to. I have respect for Mike a lot because he knows what he wants in his life. Obviously, you went through a lot of tough things to come to those conclusions. But we're still two different individuals. The thing that he values right now, which I think you want work-life balance.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily care about that right now, where I'm at right now. So I'm willing to grind myself to the ground because I have to get to I want to get to certain places, and the only way I know how to get there, guaranteed, putting the podcast aside for right now, is grind to my bones, right? Yeah. And I'm able to do that healthily. I'm not I don't do drugs. I don't drink that much. I do my shisha every once in a while, but I'm at Barry's 5 days a week.
Yeah.
I eat pretty healthily, right? I take care of my skin. I drink a lot of water. But for right now, my balance there is no balance right now.
Yeah.
Which is okay. This is where I'm at right now. I may want to balance 5 years from now. I don't know, right? I don't know where I'm going to be at.
Yeah.
But I think my perspective, and not that the question's about me, I'm not trying to turn it on me, was when I was in the UAE, there was a ceiling and I saw it. And before I even got there, especially to what I did, I just left. And thankfully, the opportunity that came to my lap was one I couldn't say no to. But had I not met that, I've seen a lot of attorneys there tell me that this could be a trap too, because then eventually you can't go back to where you're from because the experience doesn't really match up where you're at in your career.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that to be the case. I know certain people who have been practicing outside of the U.S., they've run into that because as a U.S. qualified attorney, we're probably the most expensive outside in the world, right? In terms of our billing rates. Mm-hmm. That clients outside the U.S. don't really need to pay those rates. They can do a UK solicitor or an Australian lawyer or whatever, an English qualified lawyers or things like that. So there could be a mismatch in terms of your experience and what your seniority is, and when you're trying to come back, they'd be like, that boat has passed. So for me, it was important to come back at the U.S. qualified experience and maybe look, I'm always open to going back for a 6 month stay to the UAE. There's already rumblings of me. They already want us because I have the experience for the region, right? And you need as you know, somebody who's worked there, it's different in the Middle East, right? There's certain things that you need to know before you deal make there. Certain, just not even technical stuff in terms of just like respect things and how to communicate with people that doesn't really come across as natural to certain people in New York, right? Like, let's just put it that way.
Yeah.